Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Global. We will get you top stories from India and the region. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. And for news from rest of the world, I'm joined by my colleague in London, Ollie Barrett. Hi, Ollie. What stories are you tracking today?
Well, Shubhendu, mock Ukrainian drills at the Belarus border, Israel making its case at Davos, and tensions on the Korean Peninsula. It's 11:30 a.m. here in London, 12:30 p.m. across Central Europe. Let's start with the headlines.
Indian Navy rescues crew of US-owned vessel in the Gulf of Aden after an attack by the Houthis. Tensions in the region's sea lanes disrupt global trade. United States launches fourth round of strikes on Houthis in Yemen, relist Houthis as terrorists in response to Red Sea attacks. US, Japan and South Korean envoys meet amid North Korean nuclear threat. Pyongyang and Kremlin deepen defense ties. Not paying heed to Iran's threat of serious repercussions, the United States carried out fourth round of strikes against Houthi targets in Yemen. In just under a week, Pentagon believes the strikes have degraded the Houthis' ability to attack.
The United States has conducted strikes on 14 Houthi missiles that were loaded to be fired from Yemen. U.S. Central Command said in a statement posted on the social media platform X that the Houthi missiles presented an imminent threat to merchant vessels and U.S. Navy ships in the region. The United States redesignation of the Houthis as global terrorists is in response to the group's attacks on commercial ships in the region. U.S. officials said the specially designated global terrorist listing was aimed at cutting off funding and weapons the Houthis have used to attack or hijack ships.
The Secretary of State announced the designation of the Houthis as a specially designated global terrorist, effective February 16th for threatening the security of the United States. Since November, the Houthis have launched numerous missiles and drones towards international merchant ships, as well as U.S. and partner naval vessels defending the safety and security of commercial shipping across the Red Sea. These attacks against international shipping have endangered mariners and disrupted the free flow of commerce and freedom of navigation. For the past several weeks, the United States, with allies and partners around the world, has made clear that there must be consequences for those attacks. And today's designation follows on our military action last week to hold the Houthis accountable for their actions.
A Houthi official on Wednesday called U.S. designation of Yemen's Houthis as a terrorist group is a blackmail and will not affect their operations to prevent Israeli ships or ships heading to Israel from crossing the Red Sea.
This designation of Ansar Allah in the terrorism list has been repeated more than once, and it's an act of blackmail. Of course, the United States uses this designation as blackmail against anyone who opposes its policies and stands in opposition, including its support for war on Gaza.
Attending the World Economic Forum in Davos, Iran Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian said that the safety of the Red Sea today is tied to the situation in Gaza.
The security of shipping and maritime navigation is a serious focus of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Yemen also believes so on this matter. But the safety of the Red Sea today is tied to the situation in Gaza.
At the World Economic Forum, British Foreign Secretary David Cameron met Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian. Cameroon condemned the attacks in Erbil in Iraq, which killed UK-Iraqi dual national Karam Mikhail, and also made it clear that the Houthi attacks on shipping in the Red Sea are illegal and unacceptable. Attacks by the Iran-allied Houthi militia on ships in the region since November have slowed trade between Asia and Europe.
And DD India correspondent Sarah Coates gets us the latest from Tel Aviv.
Well, look, locally, we still haven't heard anything specific from Israeli leaders. The Houthis have come out extremely defiant after they were designated once again as a terror organisation. A spokesperson from the Houthis says that we will continue these attacks as long as Israel remains in the Gaza Strip, certainly saying that it won't let up on any of these firing on ships that are heading through the Red Sea. Now, we've also heard from Iran's foreign minister warning the United States to, quote, not to tie their destiny to the fate of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, adding Washington's support for Israel is the root of insecurity in the region. Now, look, what this designation really means is that Houthi money will be frozen in the United States. Houthis won't be allowed to enter the United States. But what aid groups are particularly concerned about is that it could actually exasperate the famine, the hunger, the starvation that is being seen, of course, in Yemen, the result of this 10-year civil war. We do know that 2/3 of people in Yemen rely on daily aid to survive. So this is, of course, very, very concerning. And this is the #1 reason that this terror designation was lifted when Joe Biden took the White House 3 years ago.
Meanwhile, India has expressed deep concern over the whole situation in the Red Sea. MEA spokesperson today said India favors freedom of navigation. He added that Indian Navy patrolling the area is trying to secure the sea lanes as the violence there affects our interests as well.
In regard to what's happening in the Red Sea area, we have made our position very clear. It's a matter of concern to us. We give a lot of importance to freedom of navigation and freedom of commerce in that region. Whatever is happening there not just impacts us, but impacts the economic interests and several other interests of so many people across the world. So that is where we are. We are closely monitoring the situation, and we're looking at the unfolding situation with a constant watch.
And MEA spokesperson said Indian vessel came to the rescue of American ship on receiving a distress call. INS Visakhapatnam swiftly responded to the distress call made by United States Marshall Island flagged merchant vessel Genco Picardy following a drone attack at 23:11 hours on 17th January. MV Genco Picardy, the 22 crew members, including 9 Indians, has reported no casualties. Indian naval specialists from INS Visakhapatnam boarded the vessel in early hours of 18th January and inspected the damaged area. The specialists, after thorough inspection, have rendered the area safe for further transit. The vessel is proceeding to the next port of call. INS Visakhapatnam was deployed in the Gulf of Aden for anti-piracy operations. Moving on, Israeli president has defended action by his country in Gaza at Davos. Ollie Barrett is in London, gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. Ollie, what's the latest from Davos?
Thank you, Shubhendu. Yes, we have been hearing from the Israeli president at the World Economic Forum meetings in Davos, where so much of the world's official leadership, but also business leadership, has gathered to. Isaac Herzog has acknowledged the human tragedy in Gaza, but underscored again Israel's commitment to its self-defense against terrorism. Herzog has rejected all accusations levelled against Israel, and he raised an alarm about the international community, in his view, potentially falling short in sending the full quota of 400 humanitarian trucks to Gaza every day. He says his country is praying for an emergency shipment of medicines arranged by Qatar and France to reach Israeli hostages held by Hamas in the Palestinian enclave. A shipment of medical supplies meant for Israeli hostages that the president was talking about in Gaza, as well as civilians, has reached Gaza as part of a deal brokered by Qatar and France. 2 Qatari planes did arrive in the north of Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, where supplies were unloaded and transferred to the Rafah border crossing with Gaza. One of the planes was carrying medical packages for the hostages captured by Hamas on October the 7th. Under the agreement, medicines, along with humanitarian aid, are to be supplied to civilians in Gaza in exchange for delivering drugs needed by hostages held there. Israel has, meanwhile, increased attacks on Hamas positions in southern Gaza's Khan Yunis. The Israeli military spokesperson Daniel Hagari made a televised statement saying that Israel has killed more than 30 terrorists in Khan Yunis over the past 24 hours. He says the forces have expanded their operations towards a Hamas regiment in the area.
The division active in the Khan Yunis area is operating with the largest forces. It has expanded its attack. It was in the east of Khan Yunis. It has expanded its attack to another Hamas regiment, which is in southern Khan Yunis, and is now carrying out an attack there. Over the past 24 hours, there were tough battles there. Sadly, there were also casualties. Our forces have killed more than 30 militants in the past 24 hours in the area.
The Ukraine-Russia conflict is into its 694th day. Global support for Ukraine could be stronger than ever, although there are fears about whether it's wavering in some parts of the world. Leaders in Davos are voicing their views against Russia, many of them anyway, while White House has been holding bipartisan meetings on the Ukrainian situation.
2 Russian S-300 missiles struck Ukraine's Kharkiv on Wednesday, where 17 people were injured. A woman was also killed in the attack. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, in a late-night video address, urged his countrymen to seize the initiative to help determine the course of the war and also secure worldwide support. There was a strategic level of discussions of our actions for this year, and not only of defensive ones. Ukraine needs an ambitious and proactive perspective so that the initiative lies within our state, not with the enemy, so that the end of the war will depend on Ukrainian actions. The world supports those who have a perspective, and this is a fundamental task to preserve the initiative so that there is an opportunity to become stronger. Republicans in the US also held meetings with the Democrats and President Joe Biden over Ukraine aid and immigration policy.
We had a productive meeting, I think, House and Senate leaders. The President was very forthright. I told the President what I have been saying for many months, and that is that we must have change at the border, substantive policy change. We're not insistent upon a particular name of a piece of legislation, but we are insistent that the elements have to be meaningful. The House is ready to act.
White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby also emphasized that there was a critical and urgent need for continued security assistance flow to Ukraine.
This will be an opportunity for the President and for the National Security Team to make sure that members of Congress fully understand the desperate, urgent need for weapons and capabilities for Ukraine to continue to flow. As you know, the last security assistance package was December 27th. There hasn't been one since. There won't be one unless or until we can get some funding. They are expending what they have. And I won't get into their inventory lists, but there are some weapon systems for which they are in more need than others right now, and they have to expend them given ongoing combat.
The World Economic Forum in Davos echoed against President Putin, with the French President Emmanuel Macron saying that Russia cannot be allowed to win in Ukraine.
Premièrement, nous allons tout faire pour essayer de tenir le monde ensemble.
We are going to do everything to try to hold the world together and not give in to the risk of division, and try to have an effective agenda that will ensure that Russia cannot and must not win in Ukraine. Because what is at stake in Ukraine is our values, our collective security in Europe, in the Caucasus and in the entire region. Therefore, to do this, 2024 will be a key year for Europeans. We must show that we know how to provide visibility and recommit our efforts, whatever happens in the United States. While the conflict in Ukraine continues to inflict suffering and destruction, a glimmer of hope emerges through increased global unity and determination to support Ukraine.
Ukraine has been holding mock anti-sabotage drills at the Belarus border. Ukrainian soldiers say it's to help forces learn new techniques and technologies which could counter the Russian sides. In Ecuador, prosecutor Cesar Suarez, who was investigating a television studio attack, has been assassinated. The television attack and a recent burst of violence in Ecuador led the president, Daniel Noboa, to declare a 60-day state of emergency on Monday. Attorney General Diana Salazar says the crime will not undermine the authorities' commitment to Ecuadorian society.
In view of the murder of our colleague Cesar Suarez, prosecutor of the National Specialized Unit for Investigations Against Transnational Organized Crime in Gayos, I am going to be emphatic. Organized crime groups, criminals, terrorists will not stop our commitment to Ecuadorian society. We will continue with more strength and commitment.
Meanwhile, the Ecuadorian government's condemned the murder of a prosecutor in the province of Caches, one of the most violent areas of the country. The Ecuadorian Defense Minister, Lofredo, has expressed his condolences to the family of the prosecutor Cesar Suarez and stressed the government's commitment to support the justice system in solving the crime.
On behalf of national government, we would like to express our condolences to the prosecutor's family, Cesar Suarez. We reject all forms of violence in response to the conflict we are experiencing. We reaffirm the government's strong commitment to support the administration of justice. Ecuadorians are together and united in single force, a single Ecuador.
Los ecuatorianos estamos juntos y unidos.
That's it from me here in London for today. Shibendu, back to you.
Ali, appreciate you joining us with those updates. And we're heading for a short break. Still to come on DD India Global. Pakistan retaliates with strikes on militant targets in Iran. Pakistan Prime Minister cuts short his Davos trip. And India International Science Festival inaugurated, the 9th edition.
बोला आप कौन? अरे वो सब छोड़ो, बहुत बढ़िया इन्वेस्टमेंट स्कीम आई है। आज 2000 डालोगे, कल 4 मिलेगा, परसों 8, फिर 16, फिर 32, फिर 64। लिंक भेज दिया, जल्दी क्लिक करो।
यूपीआई कहता है इन फर्जी इन्वेस्टमेंट वाले स्कीमों में ना फंसो, अपने पैसे का ध्यान खुद रखो। क्या समझे?
क्या समझेंगे, आप ही समझा लीजिए, हम क्या समझेंगे।
आप भी ये जानकारी शेयर करें और अपने आसपास के भोले को बचाएं।
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Global. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. And top nuclear envoys from United States, Japan, South Korea on Thursday held a trilateral meeting in Seoul, criticized North Korea's military cooperation with Russia. In an opening statement, Young Pak, U.S. Senator official for North Korea, said Pyongyang's transfer of short-range ballistic missiles and other weapons to Russia for use against Ukraine demanded attention and coordinated action. The three countries have increased joint efforts to deter North Korea in recent years, including trilateral meetings and launching a missile warning data sharing system in December. Earlier, nuclear envoys from United States and South Korea met on Thursday to discuss North Korea amid mounting tensions on the Korean Peninsula.
We strongly condemn this launch, which violates multiple UN Security Council resolutions. The DPRK's continued development of its unlawful nuclear and ballistic missile programs, its transfer of ballistic missiles and other weapons to Russia for use against Ukraine, its ongoing malicious cyber activities against countries around the world, and its continuing human rights violations and abuses against its own people All of this demands our attention and coordinated action.
On the other side, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov discussed with his North Korean counterpart Cha Son-hui the implementation of agreements made by national leaders Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. Lavrov said Russia has always favored negotiations to achieve peace and stability in the region. He added that the two sides have been working to implement agreements reached between Russian President Vladimir Putin and the North Korean leader last year. Globally isolated due to conflict in Ukraine, Moscow has been deepening its ties with Pyongyang. United States and its allies have accused the North of providing armed support to Moscow for use in its war in Ukraine in return for Russia's assistance in Pyongyang's advanced weapons development. For the latest DD India correspondent, Andrew Wood joins us live from Hong Kong. Andrew, how has the risk of conflict heightened in the Korean Peninsula, especially as both North and South strengthen their ties with their respective allies?
I think it's increased quite a bit over the past year. North Korea has become more confident and assertive in launching missiles. Many more ballistic missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles last year, and then of course in the past week or so a hypersonic missile which quite shocked, I think, an awful lot of people in the West and in South Korea and Japan. I mean, the lines seem to be being drawn here. I think that as far as North Korea is concerned, the biggest change has been its improved relationship with Russia. Things have changed a lot. Remember, back in 1950, North Korea had to get permission from Soviet Union to invade North Korea. Now, of course, you've got North Korea providing arms and expertise and missiles to Russia to use in Ukraine. And Russia seems to be prepared to return the favor by giving North Korea technology and expertise to make its own, the North Korean missile program and nuclear program, to improve it and make it more reliable. So I think that's the biggest change that we've seen. Secondly, of course, the North Koreans have said that they no longer see South Korea as a country that they could unify with to try and end the division that was caused in the Korean War of the 1950s, and is now an enemy, and that it's prepared to fight and use violence if necessary if it thinks South Korea is getting, for example, nuclear weapons.
And to the point that you mentioned earlier, Kim Jong-un called the South as enemy number one. How does that impact the dynamics between the two sides, North and South?
It's a subtle change. Previously, North Korea had ignored South Korea. It didn't recognize it as a country. And it mainly wanted to deal with the United States when it came to trying to sort out what's going on with North Korea to try and improve relations with South Korea. The fact that now it seems to be cozying up to Russia and that North Korea is actually acknowledging the existence of South Korea is quite a big change, I think. It may seem quite subtle, but it does show that North Korea is thinking in a very different way to it did, say, 10, 20 or 30 years ago.
Andrew, thank you for joining us with those inputs. Pakistan conducted strikes inside Iran on Thursday, targeting terrorists. Pakistan's foreign ministry said Pakistan carried out a series of highly coordinated military strikes in Sistan-o-Balochistan province of Iran. The ministry in a statement said a number of terrorists were killed during the intelligence-based operation. According to Iranian media, several missiles hit a village in the Sistan-Balochistan province that borders Pakistan, killing 3 women and 4 children, all non-Iranians. Earlier, Iran attacked Israel-linked terrorist bases inside Pakistani territory on Tuesday. Meanwhile, responding to media queries regarding Iran's airstrikes in Pakistan, India's External Affairs official spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal said this is a matter between Iran and Pakistan. Insofar as India is concerned, we have an uncompromising position of zero tolerance towards terrorism. We understand actions that countries take in their self-defense. Meanwhile, Pakistan caretaker Prime Minister cut short the Davos visit to return to Islamabad amid escalating tensions with Iran. Bangladesh Foreign Minister Hassan Mahmood will be visiting New Delhi on 7 February. This will be his maiden visit to the country since assuming office. The visit seeks to strengthen India-Bangladesh relations. Mahmood said he is visiting the country at the invitation of his Indian counterpart, S. Jaishankar. The invitation was extended by Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh, Pranay Verma, on behalf of Jaishankar. The meeting with the High Commissioner marked Mahmood's first diplomatic engagement since he became the Foreign Minister in Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's new government. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Japan will attempt a precision landing called Moon Sniper on Friday, aiming to become the 5th country to put a spacecraft on the moon. Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's Smart Lander for investigating moon probe will start a 20-minute touchdown phase, attempting to land within 100 meters of its target. Paris woke up to a dusting of snow on the streets and roofs of its monuments on Thursday. France's weather service has warned of black ice and floods in other areas of the country. The construction of a memorial park to honor Indonesia's heroes and founding fathers was launched by President Joko Widodo at the country's future capital city, Nusantara in East Kalimantan. The construction will cost approximately $23 million and is expected to be completed by August this year. India has witnessed an impressive turnout of over 15 crore participants in just a couple of months in the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra. The Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra today reached Banpata, the outskirts of Jammu city. Large number of people welcomed the Information, Education and Communication IEC van that creates awareness about benefits of various government schemes. People took the pledge to work for making India a developed nation by 2047. At the 3-day India International Science Festival being organized in Faridabad on the outskirts of New Delhi, students of Amity University displayed their innovations that could solve simple yet complex problems of life. DD India correspondent Dibyendu Mondal spoke to the students to understand their innovation. Yes, more.
At the India International Science Festival at Faridabad, I'm joined by two young students. Both are school students who have made some new innovations. One is of a helmet where the bike won't start without wearing the helmet is what Shashwat tells me. So Shashwat, which standard are you from?
I'm in class 9th.
Okay, so a 9th standard student, Shashwat, has developed something to protect oneself while driving a bike or a scooter. How does this work, Shashwat?
Sir, I will show you the working. This is the transmitter circuit and this is the receiver circuit. Inside there is a pressure sensor. So when the biker wears the helmet, it gets pressed, it gives the signal to the receiver circuit and the bike gets started. And now I will remove the helmet, the bike got stopped.
Well, that's an interesting innovation. You know, many die out due to road accidents every year on the Indian roads, and that's a fantastic innovation, Shashwat. Coming to you, Prisha, what is your innovation? You are also a class 9th standard student. What have you developed?
So it is automatic plant watering system. In this, using the natural flow of water from the overhead tank and using a timer for a fixed duration and for a fixed period of time, I am watering the plants automatically, which is without any human intervention. You can set the start time and the end time when you want the solenoid valve to open up and the plants to be watered, and the end time when you want it to be closed once, and the settings will be there forever.
So Prisha, tell me something. When many of us go on holidays and our plants dry up, so you're trying to solve that problem.
Yes. So like when we go on vacations or if our gardener is on leave, so it will be totally automatically, and we don't have to remember about watering our plants.
Well, of course, you can see these fantastic innovation by school children from Amity University displaying their marvelous work at the India International Science Festival in India, in New Delhi. With camera person Vinay, this is Dibyendu Mondal from New Delhi for DD India.
Young innovators and their unique innovations. Well, that's all in this edition of DD India Global. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also find us online on ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Global. Namaskar.